Hello everyone and welcome back to Yosemite Valley. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, and today we are going to change a lot in Yosemite Valley. So right away, without further ado, let's jump into the refurbishment of a lot of areas. So we are starting with the Cheetah area in the old part of the zoo, but since the connection is now done between the half-dome savannah habitat and the actual big cat house. We finally have the connection between all the African animals. So you can really tell now that the right-hand side of the zoo is mostly the African animals. So you have the lion over here, you have the cheetah over here, and then you can already tell that you see the African elephants on the other side of this little river. You can already see some of the giraffes in the far back, and this really is a connection that I loved, and I really wanted to make sure that this connection is not only visually existing, but also now in terms of the style. And I think one of the major pieces that I hated and you hated and everyone hated, and especially Mr. Kane hated, was this watchtower over here by the cheetahs. And oh boy, that one, I still don't know what I've done back then. I think it definitely can go into history as one of my worst buildings ever, and I've still no idea why I did this. Like the basic idea to have a viewing platform over there, yes, nice, but apart from that, there's nothing about this thing. The placement was off. The overall idea with having actual stairs going in looked fairly off. Yeah, architecture-wise, that was not really the best thing you've ever seen in your life. So I don't know what happened, what my mind was doing there. Maybe I was just so done from this area. I have no clue. But anyways, it's gone. It's gonna be gone forever. It will not make a return. This is one of the things that we not need to. My English breaks already when I think about this weird tower. But this is one of the things we don't need to bring back. What we do instead is something that was a bit lacking in this area, and that is a little food station. You get some food. There's an information kiosk over here as well, because I figured at this point of the map, potentially the people want to have a little bit more info again. Maybe they need another map. They have lost their map. You know how it is. You give it into the hands of your kids, and all of a sudden you question where the map is gone, and it's just gone away. No one knows where it is, and someone else just, you know, grabbed it from the floor because your kids left it somewhere. That's how it happens. And yeah, so you need something new, or you need a new audio tour or whatever. Speaking of which, we might not need this anymore in the future so much. So because we know now that there will be some actual, not tours, but there will be actual educators in the zoo. And oh boy, I really screamed inside, and I told you guys already last time, but I had no idea that this is going to happen. Like, I was caught by surprise as you. And in case you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll link the video to the top right, so you can check out what I'm talking about. So Frontier did release some info during the week, on Thursday to be precise. They released the info that they bring something brand new into the game, which is called the Animal Talks. What that is basically a viewing point, or let's an education point, so to say, where an actual staff member, a brand new staff member called the Educator, is going to and will hold a scheduled speech. So what this means is really that you have these people getting to a location close by a habitat, and they will talk about the animal, and then people will gather around during that time because they can see the time being scheduled there. So you really have to use it as a scheduling option, almost like you did the fireworks in Planet Coaster. You know, you planned the fireworks to be happening at, let's say, 8 p.m. And then this was going. And so in this case, you're going to schedule the animal talk at, like, let's say 2 p.m. by the Cheetah Habitat, and then everyone is going to try to be around there at 2 p.m. And it's going to happen on a monthly basis. So it's really cool. It's really, really damn cool, and I'm really looking forward to that. I would have, you know, if there was one thing I would have loved even more about that, would be like a tour style that you can say, okay, go from point A to B to C. Unfortunately, that seems not to be the case, but that said, you never know how it really is happening, and if I have my hands on it, I will obviously try to break it as always, and if there's a way to use it as a tour, be sure that we will exploit that. So this is going to happen, but that's about it, and therefore I needed to actually change a few things already. However, this build over here is done before this info, so this is not necessarily done because of the info, but this thing is done because I really hated the way the cheetah area was shaping at the moment, simply because I don't know, it lacked a little bit of character. Every habitat in this zoo has a very distinct character, has a story to it, has a lot of love that went into it, and the cheetah habitat felt really the way it was, to be honest. It was the last habitat of this big cat area. I was kind of done with it. I was happy to be finished, and I think the last bigger thing I put in was the custom enrichment item, which still I love. This is the prey sack training zipline, or however do you want to call that. But basically, for the cheetahs, what you have is like an automatic zipline where you put a prey tool on, and then it's gonna be you know, pulled over the ground, and then the cheetah can storm behind them and just keep running as if they were hunting for prey. That exists in real life, and I kind of built a fictive one to have in here. It's non-functional, obviously, but I still love it. But apart from this item, which I totally love, I think the rest of the habitat was mostly, yeah, just finishing it, and I don't like that, you know. This zoo has so much potential, and I put so much love and details in that we had to change it. And you can see my approach in changing that was, I'm still very happy with the layout of the habitat. I really love the fact that it's pretty huge, because these animals need space, and since this is more like a very modern zoo that has, you know, that tries to have habitats that are very good for the animals, I will keep it that big, but also I wanted to provide some better viewing options without disturbing the animals so much. So what I did is basically I created this little trail going up the hill, and on top of the hill we do have this little viewing platform, which is now very nicely also hidden in the side shape of this rock formation, which looks pretty cool, because you can see it somewhat from down there where we built this little seating area and restaurant area, and if you look carefully you can already see the viewing platform, but it's not like really sticking into your eye, which was exactly what I wanted to create. I wanted to keep it a little bit more hidden in the landscape, because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's all landscape, and my idea still is that this was once a park, which, you know, Yosemite Valley is, and then, you know, it has been turned into a zoo, so many of the things have been repurposed, and I'm quite sure that this area over there with the viewing platform could have been already a pretty nice viewing spot for, I don't know what could have been there before. Maybe this was just like a little bit of a forest or another green field where you can sit on top of this viewing platform, have a look there. But I can only tell that the view from over here is incredible. It's really cool. But yeah, while we're doing this and doing some foliage work over here, I want to thank you guys, because recently, again, you guys have been smashing it with subscribing here, following on Twitch and stuff. And I just want to say thank you. And just a little reminder, just a friendly reminder, in case you guys like the content, you want to help me, you know, reach the goal of 50,000 subscribers this year. If you're not subscribed yet and you like it, please consider subscribing. That would be totally amazing, because that helps me going a little bit towards these 50k. That would be a wonderful end of year, and then maybe something, it's something positive in this weird year 2020, so whatever. But yeah, just in general, I love that so many of you recently have caught me on Twitch. In fact, if you didn't know, and I always am surprised that many people really don't seem to know that I am regularly streaming on that other platform, and you can catch me live there every Monday, Wednesday and Thursday at the moment, and I'm trying to stick to that as much as I can, and then we are mostly building here in Yosemite, but if there's going to come also a new DLC and new updates, I'm definitely going to build something else in the future as well. Sometimes we're playing different games. Among Us is obviously in there at the moment. Some Anno has been played recently. Planet Coaster is also in the shuffle, so quite a few games that I'm playing recently. Minecraft on Mondays, so don't forget about that. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on, and I'm really looking forward to making that even more interactive with you guys. And you know, I just wanted to say thank you. So here's the thing. Thank you, every single one of you sitting in front of your computer, notebook, phone, TV, PlayStation. Oh, by the way, this would be interesting. Can you guys quickly drop me in the comments on which device you're watching my videos mostly? I recently looked into the stats and I could not believe it. So many people watching on the console. I still don't get it. It's crazy. Like, you know, whatever you want to watch, you can watch it on a remodeled fridge if you want. I don't care too much, but it's crazy that what you see sometimes. Like the stats are crazy. I don't know. I think I would find it a bit finicky to go on an Xbox or a PlayStation and then use the browser in that device, where I'm way quicker on other devices. But yeah, let me just know in the comments down below, because that would be pretty interesting to know. At least for me. So that would be lovely. But now let's go on here a little bit talking about what's happening, because that part over here was the most enjoyable, even though weird one, I gotta say, because you can see I copied a lot over. But oh my god, I had so many images open at the same time. Like my browser, I think I had like 40 tabs open, and then because I stopped downloading all the pictures, I'm just filling in my hard drive space, and so I keep them in the browser at the moment, just because saving that little bit of you can't imagine how much space I've. Yeah, well, let's not talk about that. But I had this all open, and I wanted to make this little lakeside over here look a bit more like some of these open fields I found in Yosemite Valley, which there were a few pictures with some wolves, I guess it was on, and stuff like that. And then you had this wonderful green field, but it was kind of, you know, scattered with these purple-ish flowers and stuff across it. And I really wanted to achieve the same look and feel, which I think this little yeah, I don't know, blueprint I did once really just nails it. And so I was just kind of copying it around and making all that look very nice, and it changed the character of this area so much, and I love it. I love it so much now, because it really has this more lush feel. It really feels completed. It feels Yosemite now. Beforehand it was all a bit way too open. You had this big kind of water area which didn't really know what it wanted to be. It just seemed to be like a lake, but then again it wasn't, and it kind of seemed like a pond, and you didn't really know what it was. So I changed it now a lot with the foliage, and I think it's really working out. Talking of foliage, I finally, after, well, I don't know, half a year, we go back to the chimpanzee house, at least for a few seconds, and I needed to lushify, if you will, to make sure that this area looks a lot more lush now. I needed to bring in a lot more trees and bushes and some fern here and there and bracken and whatever, just to make this area also look finished, you know, at least from the point of view of the guests. I didn't want to offer them too many views into the bare fields that are above this area, so I was actually trying to manage a nice balance between many trees, but then again making it not too dense, because I wanted to keep this area fairly open, because this whole area opens up to my favorite part of the entire zoo so far. This opens up to the plaza in front of the lion habitat, which is at the same time the plaza in front of the night house, which is at the same time plaza in front of the Siberian tiger. So you can already tell there's a lot going on in this area, and I love this. It's kind of a wonderful meeting spot, and you have the potentially best view to Half Dome, the most clean one, because you don't have any other terrain stuff in the view, or I don't know, backlogs from the map or whatever. It's just this wonderful, incredibly immersive look and feel. It's just really cool. But I wasn't even done there. I went even further. You can see it's actually I need to call this recycling or upcycling episode. I don't know. So I know that many people complained when we were doing the beaver habitat, implied beaver habitat. Many people complained that beavers do not live close to waterfalls, and I took this by heart, and I just changed the entire area here, because you guys were right. I did a little bit of research, and I was like, okay, what can I do to make this at least a little bit more realistic? I knew I couldn't do too much, because I wanted to keep the little bit of a raised area here, just to frame the zoo a bit more, just to give it some more layers. If I would flatten that area a little bit more, it would all have become to be a bit too flat, so I wanted to keep it, and I ended up doing like a little cliff area where the water is coming through. And this is something that you guys came up as an idea actually for the other waterfall that is on the opposite side, and I will actually redo this one as well. And you know, this is kind of thinking the water dripples down somewhere and forms this little canyon over millions of years running through here, or thousands or 10,000s of years, so however long that takes. But so that was the idea. And then at the front, when the canyon kind of opens up into the zoo area, this is where the beaver habitat is, because this way, I can at least for myself justify the story of it, that the beavers have built their habitat just in front of that little lip where it all opens. As you can see, this is right over here, and then you can actually tell that this is exactly at the border of the zoo, and so the animals, well, actually live in the wild, if you will. The zoo just has framed it nicely so it seems like a habitat, and you need to be lucky, but since the zoo is feeding the animals, they are very likely to come over. And who knows if there will be some water animals at some point, but if they keep on doing the animal talks, and that works with aquatic animals too, that would be a brilliant spot to have this little education spot. That would be lovely. But guys, that's been it already. In case you loved this little upcycling episode, let me know in the comments down below, and also let me know again on which device you're watching. And now, what kind of DLC do you wish for the most? Because we know there has to be DLC coming. So yeah, keep your fingers crossed and keep your eyes on the channel if there's something coming soon. But other than this, have a great time and goodbye everyone.